My name is Charles Morgan, Division Chief, PSAC 1. I served in the Army. I started when I was 17 years old. Actually, my mother had to sign me in because I was too young. And I've done that for the last 40 years.
My name is Vanessa. I'm a firefighter in Ladder 9, Manhattan, and I'm currently in the United States Air National Guard.
I've been leading in the military since 1995 when I was a sergeant. I'm also a leader in EMS. I'm a one-star chief, which is a division commander. Both jobs serve people. And that's one thing I like doing.
I get a lot of thank you for your service, but that means nothing to me. The greatest thing to me is being able to serve, being able to raise my right hand and be in for 15 years, still serving. It's the greatest thing for me to do. It's a lot of pride being able to serve my country. It's the greatest thing I think I've ever done.
Seeing Vanessa, oh, it's so impressive as an individual and as a firefighter.
Yeah, Chief Morgan too. He was one of my lieutenants back in the day when we were doing HAZTAC together.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy, really knows his stuff, and you could tell both of them are just so into serving their community, serving their country, and it's great having that. And we have a lot of veterans on this job.
Yeah, and they're just carrying on the tradition of their military branch.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing to see because it takes a certain type of person to do this job alone, but then to also be part of the military and take care of the country.
You know, as we're talking about Veterans Month, obviously the month of November, I had a great interview with retired firefighter and current VFW commander, firefighter Bill Hayes. It was very impressive, very stoic, you could just see why he's already a leader and he's always in these leadership positions.
Oh, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, no, let's take a quick peek. VFW Commander, retired firefighter Billy Hayes. How you doing, Billy?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, tell us, you were a veteran, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm a military veteran. I enlisted in the Navy right out of high school.
Right out of high school, so roughly around, what, 17, 18?
Signed up when I was 18 years old. You have to get a parent to co-sign at that time.
Wow.
Turned 18 in June, and I was in boot camp in September of 1980.
Well, how long were you in the military?
I was in for 4 years active duty.
Right.
And then I transitioned right into the reserves. I didn't break any service.
Okay.
I did another 7 years in the Naval Reserve, and then I switched over to the Air National Guard, upstate New York, and I did another 21. So altogether, I did just under 32 years in the military.
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you very much for your service. Thank you for your service. So how was it when you decided to, when you was coming back home, like when you started with working with the city?
Well, what
was that journey like?
I was about 2 years into my enlistment, and my dad was on the job.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was actually home on leave and went to his firehouse Christmas party.
Nice.
And his captain came up to me and said, you know, they're giving a test. And I was actually at the time thinking about re-enlisting in the military. And if I had done that, I probably would have made a full 20-year active duty career.
Okay.
So then I decided to take the test. My father would send me all the study materials.
Right.
I was still on active duty. I actually flew home from Hawaii to take the test for this job. I was on board an aircraft carrier.
Right.
We pulled into Hawaii. I flew home. My father picked me up. Took me the next day to Sheepshead Bay High School. Took the exam.
I know exactly
the following
where
day,
you
got back on a plane and went back out on my ship.
All business. So you were juggling both then, military and FD.
Yes, sir.
How were you, Bill? How was that? How did that schedule look? Like, how did you manage?
It's a chore, but actually one of the great benefits we have as military veterans, if you're still serving in the Guard and Reserves, the department gives you 240 hours a year above and beyond any other military leaves. Now, that'll equate to about 30 days.
Right.
That's your 1 weekend a month, and then your 15 days of active duty commitment. But after 9/11, that all changed.
Yeah. How did we fare with the military? How does FD?
Oh, it is revered.
Yeah.
And what struck me too was any place I had gone, my journey took me through what's called Manas in Kyrgyzstan.
Okay.
It's a staging area to go into Afghanistan. There were tributes to FDNY everywhere. The MWR in the military is called Morale and Welfare, Recreation and Welfare. The tent was the Pete Gansey MWR tent.
Wow.
And then going again in country There's murals all for 9/11. I mean, you looked at generations of service members that joined because of 9/11.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So tell us more about the VFW.
So in 2004, our first member, unfortunately, was killed in combat, Christian Engeltrom.
Yep.
He was in Ladder 61. He was with he was previous active duty Army during the first Gulf War. And then after 9/11, we went back in. He was part of the New York's fight in 69th, deployed to Iraq, and he was killed. So this coming November 29th will be the 20th year of his death.
Right.
And then in 2005, a group of New York City firefighters that were still active duty or veterans formed the VFW post. We are a chartered post for the VFW National.
Okay.
We do not have a building. We hold our meetings out at Randall's Island.
Having it at our FDNY training facility got to feel like the old days as well versus just some random bar, because you're actually on the rock. You kind of smell a little bit of the the flash over area. So,
well, in the beginning, when we were still very active in the wars,
right.
we probably hosted thousands of active duty troops and wounded troops would come out. Our post was formed under Commissioner Cassano's term. He was a Vietnam veteran, or is a Vietnam veteran himself.
Right.
So he was so supportive. We would bring them out there and run them through our drills. I remember we had a special forces unit out there one time, and their commander, I asked him how, was he enjoying himself, and he said he had a problem. What's the problem? He goes, all my soldiers are doing the math. They're all, when they enlistment comes up, they're all getting out and they're all joining the New York City Fire Department.
And there will be welcome with open arms, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
NYC is definitely better for you being a part of it also, Billy. The level of debt that I always feel and the privilege I feel to keep this patch on my left shoulder never changes from day one till now.
And that's the similarities with the military and the fire department. I mean, again, I've been active duty reserves. I was a police officer for a short period of time and a firefighter. The closest thing I found to the military was the FDNY.
So you know what, Bill? Here's a scenario for you. You have a young military personnel who is considering joining the FDNY. What could you tell them to recruit them and to kind of share what they have to look forward to if they do take this leap of faith?
There's a lot of benefits that they're entitled to. So to try and put them in order is, one, if you are a military veteran, there's a fee waiver to take the exam.
Yes.
First. Second is you can reduce your age up to 6 years, meaning if you did up to 6 years of active military duty,
Yep.
you can extend your age.
100%.
So that would, I guess that would put you like at 35
Yeah,
to
35.
come on to the job. You can get points after you pass the exam. So you get veterans points. Veterans points are broken into two categories. You're a veteran, meaning you served on active duty at least 90 days beyond boot camp and any training.
Right.
So then you fall into a veteran status. The second is a disabled veteran, so there's either or. That means you have a minimum of a 10% disability rating from the VA.
Right.
So you can get 5 points or 10 points. If you use them to come on, they stay at that level. If you hold them, which you can do for a one-time promotion,
Yeah.
they reduce in half.
How is it serving the military and serving the city? So how is it the difference, like as far as your
A lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Again, that's where I believe that military veterans, their transition into the fire service is, I don't want to say easier, but it's something they're very familiar with. Because, again, military veterans, by nature, I believe, are leaders.
Right.
So they bring in leadership qualities. In the military, each branch of the military has core values. I retired from the Air National Guard, part of the Air Force. Service before self, excellence in all we do. So that is a great transition into the fire service.
We echo the same voice.
Stepping up, doing the right thing, working hard, mission orientated.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was very proud, and I do say I was very fortunate that I was able to do that in my career in both.
Yeah, we echo a lot of things with the military. No member gets left behind. No man gets left behind.
No. And if you go into any firehouse, especially post 9/11, there's military memorabilia
100%.
all over. Firehouses have adopted units, whether their members are part of that unit or not.
100%.
We just had, for Veterans Day, we had Dakota Meyer was in he was the Grand Marshal. He's the Medal of Honor recipient.
Okay.
He came to 10 and 10 on the night of the 10th, which is the Marine Corps birthday, and we had dinner there.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. He loved it. He actually, so don't, trying to remember the time frame, when he first left the Marine Corps, he actually was trying to come on to the FDNY,
Right.
but he had missed the filing date.
Mm.
And they actually were thinking about changing the rules, but to his credit, he said, no, let's not do that.
Always
So he has
service before
integrity.
self.
He is now a paid firefighter in Texas.
Oh, okay.
So he even said to us, he said that the impression that the FDNY left on him actually steered him into that career field.
Excellent. Listen, always great stuff. And like I said before, thank you for your service again, Bill.
Thank you.
I really
Appreciate
appreciate it. What do you think about retired firefighter Hayes?
I think it's an amazing story. I mean, you know, after leaving this job and working as a commander for the VFW, you know, it's nice to see that, you know, he's still answering that call of duty, right?
Yeah.
No matter what, where you are, that call of duty never really ends. I guess that's for us too, to a certain degree, right?
Yeah, you know what? It takes a special individual to have self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like it's always the next person first. It's never me first. And it has a lot of benefits, of course, because you always create a family outside of the family.
So for this episode, in case you missed it, we're
Right.
going to go through my interview with Firefighter Pablo Mota-Nunez. He speaks about the Hispanic Society and how they kind of helped him get through the academy and get more information to be a firefighter.
All right, you know what? Very cool. Let's take a listen.
You know, I would have never been able. I wouldn't have known about applying for this job had it not been because of, you know, my friend
Sure.
that I went to paramedic school with.
Yeah.
You know, almost what has it been, like 11, 12 years. He told me about this.
Right.
I had no idea. Like, I was just a regular college student. You know, I was out there. I was just like in the books. I had zero clue. He reached out to me one day. He said, dude, take this test. Had it not been because of him, I wouldn't have been here. So, you know, recruiting does exactly that.
Yeah.
It reaches out to kids that otherwise wouldn't have known about this. You know, like he technically, I wouldn't want to say he recruited me, but in many ways, or for the lack of a better term, he recruited me. You know, like the Hispanic Society is essentially doing the same thing for a lot of kids in our communities that don't know about these
Right, who might not
opportunities.
be exposed to it, sure.
Yeah, because, you know, like if you're a regular kid, you're going to high school, you turn 17, and you have no clue that, hey, listen, the filing period for the firefighter test is out. You will have no idea to apply for it. So that is what the society, from what I've seen, that's what they do. And it's amazing because now you're having a lot of kids that otherwise never thought about taking this firefighter career. They now thinking, hey, maybe this is something I can do too. I can be, you know, like, I can be a local, I can give back to my community. I can, you know, like do something important that means something, you know?
You know what? Firefighter Nunez really did show that even though you're not sure, and then you get on the job, you have these aspirations, and
Yeah.
then you realize, wait a second, this job is even bigger than I thought. Just the advantage of being a part of a fraternal organization.
Yeah, and that's one of the
job.
big things about those affinity groups, right? They give representation for people who might not have known about this job to know that, hey, there's someone like me on this job,
Right.
and now you have a resource. And that's what the fire department is great about, having resources for people to succeed.
Right, and it's not always just like, all right, I got to talk to my union delegate. Well, actually, I could reach out to other resources
Right.
just to have advice so I can make a well-educated decision. Listen, excellent. Listen, that'll be it. You know, thank
That's
you.
it,
Thank
yeah.
everyone for joining us for another JoinFDNY podcast. Randy, I'll see you soon, pal.
All right.